Well, good morning, everyone. Today is Friday. It's September the 27th, and where did September go? We have employment data coming out in about 8 minutes. I'm not expecting anything major, just like jobless claims and GDP. Everything is right in the middle. Not seeing anything major there. Looks like the market's going to consolidate or go a little lower. Let me tell you what my major concern is. If you look at the broad market right now, the overall stock market, the 8,000 stocks on the exchange, the ratio of stocks that are above the 200-day moving average is at 52%. That means we're barely above the 200-day moving average. Now, let me show you something interesting here. This is the S&P 500. This isn't the broad market. This is the S&P 500. The broad market, 52% of stocks are above the 200-day moving average. S&P 500, 67% of stocks are above the 200-day moving average. What does it mean? Why is this important? Why am I talking about this? Well, here's why it's important. If the overall market has only 52% of stocks above the 200-day moving average, that means the overall market is extremely vulnerable right now. Because if only 3% less stocks are trading above the 200-day moving average, the broad market's going to be bearish. It's going to be trading under the 200-day moving average line, right? If more than 50% of stocks are trading below 50%, the 200-day moving average, right? We're at 52% now. S&P 500, 67, almost 70% of stocks are trading above the 200-day moving average. So the question is the S&P 500 overbought, overinflated, or is the broad market deflated? Well, let me answer this question for you. The S&P is 500 stocks, 500 of the biggest stocks in the world, whereas the broad market represents everything. The answer is simple. Typically, 95% of the time, the S&P will huff, will puff, but it'll revert back to the overall market. Okay? Now, what's causing stocks to rally right now? It's industrial stocks and defensive stocks. What's causing stocks to sink right now? Speculative stocks and semiconductors. And I believe they're going to go lower. Let me explain to you why. This is Micron Technology, one of the biggest semiconductor stocks. It reported earnings yesterday. It beat expectations by a long shot. Let me show you these numbers. Now, the market's going to open in an hour. The stock is trading down 5% right now, pre-open. The stock went up about 40% the last quarter, higher. The average gain per quarter for this stock is 11%. So it's grossly overbought. Look at the numbers here. Earnings of 56 cents per share, beating estimates of 48 cents per share. Earnings $3.53 a year ago. Now, the earnings surprise was a positive 16.67%. Over the last 3-4 quarters, the company has surpassed consensus EPS estimates. So why is the stock down $2.54 or 5% pre-open? Because the stock has priced in most of this already. Let me show you. It's been going up quite a bit. This is the 50-day moving average. The stock is above the 50-day moving average. I believe that even though the stock has outperformed expectations, the expectations are lower in light of what's happening with China. And I believe this stock is going to hit the 50-day moving average, and it's going to influence the larger SOX index, which is the semiconductor index, which is also lower already overnight, and it's already hitting the 50-day moving average yesterday. So I believe this is going to put pressure on the overall stock market, and it's going to cause, this is the SPY, this is the S&P 500. It's sitting right at the 50-day moving average, and if you look at the QQQ, that's the NASDAQ 100. It's already below the 50-day moving average. And I believe these semiconductors, the weaker than expected, stronger than expected, but weaker because it was revised weaker so many times over the past year, is going to drag the broad market lower, and we're going to hover around the 50-day moving average. So, again, don't expect a lot from the market. Keep your eye out on semiconductors. Micron is one of the top 3 or 4 semiconductor companies, and it's going to influence the entire SOX index. And I believe that's going to push the NASDAQ lower and create even more vulnerability. If you look at the Russell 2000, sorry, let me show you this. I want to show you the futures contract because we're not open yet, so I want to look at the futures contract. If you look at the futures contract, notice we've been sitting right at the 50-day line for the Russell 2000. I'm expecting the broad market, the New York Stock Exchange, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, this is the Dow. I'm expecting them to all come down to the 50-day line right here and hover right around the 50-day line. So, in essence, don't expect too much from the market over the next few days. We have officially earnings starting with bank stocks in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. These are pre-calendar earnings on Micron. Not as good. Whenever we have better than expected numbers and the stock opens lower or is about to open lower, that's not a positive sign. And remember, I wouldn't be focusing so much on the stock, but it has so much influence in the semiconductor sector. And the semiconductor sector drives the NASDAQ 100. And the NASDAQ 100 is responsible for about 25 to 30% of the S&P 500. So Micron, SOX, QQQ, S&P 500. Kind of wanted to show you the dynamic of all and the earnings and kind of get you inside of my mind. Hopefully all this helps. I know this video is a little fragmented because I'm talking about so many different parts and pieces, but they all go together. The market is fragmented, but all those pieces make up one big stock market. And right now, there's a lot of distortion because the S&P 500 is extremely bullish. 67% of stocks above the 200-day moving average, where the broad market, it's barely over 50%. And I'm afraid that the S&P 500 is going to revert to the overall market, and that's going to cause weakness in the broad market over the next few days. I've said enough. Folks, have an amazing weekend. Have a great weekend. The weekend's upon us. Have a great weekend. If you guys are enjoying these videos, let me know. Support@marketgeeks.com. If you have any questions, support@marketgeeks.com. If you want topics for different videos, support@marketgeeks.com. And if you like this channel, like it, subscribe to it, and follow us and comment, and I'll respond. Talk soon. Take care.